Okay, I call the meeting to order. And the first business is getting your officers straightened out and voting on who you want for your officers. So the first one we will go for is the chairperson of the board, and then right after that, the chair will take on the rest of the meeting. So do we have any
I
nominations?
nominate
for
Jay
chair?
as chair. A second.
Oh, we are third.
Jay, is that something that?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, you got it, Jay.
All right, next up is the vice chair, and I'll nominate Tammy.
A second.
Third.
And I'm good with that.
Something work.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. And then we just need a
Secretary?
secretary. Yeah,
Nominate Brian.
second. Brian?
Yeah.
Okay,
Thank you.
all those in favor?
Aye.
And that passes. Anything else on that issue?
No, that's it.
Okay.
Go ahead.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the public hearing minutes from March 9th. Those were,
I make a motion to approve the public hearing minutes March 9th as presented.
thank you, Jamie.
Second.
Thank you, Brian. Any comments, changes?
Nothing. I look.
All right, hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Are there any extensions on that? No? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the regular school board meeting minutes of March 9th as presented. A second.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Jasmine. Any comments on those?
I looked there too.
Okay, hearing none. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and that carries.
I'll make a motion to approve the March 9th non-public session minutes as presented.
Thank you, Tammy.
Make a motion.
Thank you, Brian. Any comments on that? Okay, all those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions? And that.
I'll make a motion to approve the annual school district meeting minutes of March 24th as presented.
Thank you, Tammy. Brian? Any other comments, questions about those? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And any abstentions?
Just want to say to Sharon, awesome job
Yeah,
on all of those minutes. Thank you very much. That was a lot and they were done very well. Thank you.
As always.
Yeah.
Okay. So community presentation.
We have a community presentation from David Edry, and he'll be talking about the Loon Mountain Race Team. David?
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I got a few things to add. So maybe just pass those down. I'm the program director of the race team. I've been there for 3 years, and but this presentation I think is something where Loon Race Team, if you don't know about it, obviously it's a nonprofit that's operating on Loon Resort, and we've been there for 40+ years working with the resort as a nonprofit in conjunction with Loon Resort. I've been there for just 3 years. I was in New Hampshire for a long time, 18 years, and I was working with the Hampton School program that was quite directly connected with Loon Race Team for training. Then I went over to Vermont for a long time, and now I'm back. And I've been working in the ski racing industry for 32 years as a full-time professional. That's what I've been doing since college. Somehow I'm still doing it. Loon Race Team is trying to find ways to grow and expand and be a part of the community more, and find ways of attracting kids to the program to help them grow, and also on retaining kids so they don't leave. How I got here today is I ended up having a conversation with Aaron regarding sort of a new idea, a new program with the race team. Then I ran it by our board director, Bob Corbett, who's the board director for the race team. Then I met with Mark and Judy as well to talk to them about this proposal that I have and this idea. And then I also talked to Brian Norton, the new president of Loon Resort, to make sure he was on board and everything was good on their end of the resort. Excuse me. So the program's really an extension of the Loon Race Team, and what we're seeing with Loon Race Team is we're doing a really good job with our kids in our community. We have kids who are here in the community, are part of the race team. We have kids from Massachusetts. We're actually probably heavily based Massachusetts program. So we're probably out of the 160 kids we have in the program, 140 of them come out of Boston area. The local kids, that fluctuates from year to year. And Aaron knows this better than I, because Aaron's a part of the race team for years. And actually, just as a side note, Aaron and I ski racing college together, known each other since college, and actually roommates at one point for a short time. So so we've been very connected. Now we work closely again after years being apart. So but we do have a good community of kids here that are part of the race team as well. And the interaction with the race team from the high school and the middle school, there's some interaction there, but we're trying to find ways to improve that and work more closely together with the school program. And some of our kids overlap and do both. And they're part of the Lin race team as well as part of the high school or middle school team. This idea is coming from a way of growing and expanding the Lin race team, and also, as I said, the retention. So we have kids like Abhishek Corey and even Charlie Laux and a few kids who've come through the Lin race team, and then all of a sudden there's the desire for more skiing, more time on snow, and an academic program to match it. And right now, the Lin race team can offer that because we're just a weekend holiday program. So those kids leave. They go to Waterville Academy. They go to maybe a ski school somewhere else. They go to Holderness School, which is all great because it's a good opportunity for them. But we're trying to find ways now to be more involved with that process and keep kids here within the community. There's a Vail Ski Resorts out in Colorado had a model that they started a bunch of years back, and it started me thinking that their model was they had a ski club that was just weekends and holidays, and then they interacted with the public schools to create an academic opportunity. So the kids don't have to leave or don't have to find special schooling, and don't have to work with tutors or do the online school thing. They actually get to be in person and be in school. And the interaction between the town and the ski club has created basically probably the best ski program in the country at this point. They're producing more kids at the highest levels than any other program in the country. And they're doing it on a full-time basis with kids that are local. And obviously Vail's a little different. Vail's a big town compared to Lincoln and Woodstock area, but still the model is very similar. We sort of experimented with a full-time model a couple of years, 2 years ago during COVID. We actually kind of got lucky. We came up with an idea of creating this full-time midweek program. And we did it in February. And then I shouldn't say got lucky, but we did it in February, announced it out to our program. Then in March, COVID hit. And then the next year, everybody was remote. And all of a sudden, all the kids wanted to be a part of the ski program. Parents all stayed up here, worked remote. And we had 13 kids who stayed with the program and stayed with us midweek and ski full-time. It was super successful. 8 of those kids decided that level was great, but there was no school here to offer for them, so they left. So 8 out of 13 moved on to another program that had more of an academic plus athletic structure. So we tried to run that program again, just offering just the athletic part midweek, and we didn't have the kids signed up because they needed the academic side. So this is where I'm at this meeting here today, because when I met with Judy and Judy and Mark. We did talk about, we talked a lot about this, about the idea of this interaction similar to Ski and Snow Club Vail, where Lin race team offers an athletic program that's in conjunction with the school to help create a situation so the kids can go to a regular school in person, be a part of an academic plan on a daily basis, be a part of the school structure, but then be able to ski more full-time with the Lin race team and be able to sort of attain more snow time, which is the goal, more focused time, and maybe be able to reach their goals of skiing in college, skiing at a high level, skiing wherever they want to go. So the sort of the picture of it is the LRT Academy. That's sort of what I've been calling it, just as a name to give it something different from LRT, but the full-time academy side of things. You know, in its first year, sort of as a goal of maybe 10 to 15 kids, and they would ski 5 days a week. So it would be maybe a Wednesday through Sunday type of program. And then I toured the idea that on Tuesday afternoons or Tuesday evenings, we could ski at the Kank as well, and give some more community feel and skiing at different places. They would end up skiing 80 to 90 days during the winter, as opposed to the LRT program, which is about 42 days of winter. So it almost double their amount of time on snow. And that's really the big part of it, is time on snow. If we want to keep kids here, they need more time on snow. If we want to keep kids here, they need an academic program that can match and they can be a part of. And I'm all about kids should be in school in person. I think the remote learning, and there's some programs that do this that offer a full-time ski program, but the kids are fully on their computers as their classroom. And I don't believe that that's the best model. And this model of working together with Lin-Wood schools to create a program that can give kids an academic model as well as an athletic model from the middle schools, the middle school all the way through the high school, is one that really could be a community model to create a snow sports field in this town and bring kids into the town who actually maybe target this program. There's sort of two types of kid I guess we could target, which is the local community kid who's here already, or a family that wants to move up here and become residents of the Lincoln Woodstock area. And then they're basically just come in as taxpayers and they're part of the school. Then there's also the idea that kids will pick them up just for the winter terms, which would be quarters 2 and 3, and they could be a part of the school for just the winter, and they'd be more tuition based, so they'd have to pay tuition obviously because they wouldn't be residents or taxpayers. And that we did discuss that idea, and it would be maybe a prorated tuition for those kids to come in and be a part of the school for the winter months. Essentially, they'd withdraw from their home schools, wherever they are in Massachusetts or whatever, and they'd be here for the winter, fully dive into the schools here and be a part of the program on Hill, and then they withdraw in the spring and go back to their home schools and be there for the rest of the year. That's the model that Vail ski, so Vail uses as well. They have sort of 2-tiered system where you can be there just for the winter, or you can be there for the whole school year based on wherever your desires are. I took a look at the school schedule, what's in place right now, and it really actually matches up quite well with quarters 2 and 3 in terms of the structure of the year. And it also matches up quite well with the academic schedule. And looking at the academic schedule, if kids were a part of this program, they may miss one class one class a day for 3 days, and it would be a different class each day. And that would be then with a Loon Race team coordinator to work with the school to make sure the kids are staying up with their work if they're missing classes. I'm a big academic person for the athletes because their goals maybe of US ski team and things like that are great, but that's not necessarily the right path. That's not the real path. And the real path is college. And so we want to give those kids the best opportunity to go to college and be able to be also skiing as much as they want, maybe skiing college. So if kids aren't doing the job academically, then maybe athletically they have to take a break until they come back and work. And so I think that coordination can work really well. And really it's minimal class missed. I think some of the academic schedule stuff is additional programs that they would miss and things like that versus academic time. The target group really is ages 10 to 17, but reality of this, I think Aaron and I discussed this quite a bit. I think the reality of the program is probably more middle school age at this point. And so maybe the program grows a little bit. The middle school age is really where a lot of our families are super focused, and they really want more skiing with their kids. And if they have success at the 12, 13-year-old age class, that's the time when they decide that maybe they need more and they want to leave. And so our goal is to have success here at that age class and then keep them here as well in school. And retention is important. So a lot of opportunity too for this. The opportunity of maybe growing the program into other disciplines of free ski, freestyle, and not just racing. Now I'm on a racing background, so that's what I speak of, but I've run programs where we're multidisciplinary, so I know all the avenues and all the pieces of it. We would grow the Lin-Wood school numbers possibly by bringing more kids in here and attracting sort of a snow sports style program into the school. And then really we would offer scholarships, because we do offer scholarships already to a lot of the local families. And we do some community stuff like with the Governor's Cup, where a lot of that money goes right back into the ski programs with Lin-Wood, and continue to help grow the programs that with those opportunities. I think sort of the next piece of it is, speaking to all of you, and hopefully this idea, it's an idea right now. Our membership doesn't have this in front of them yet. They have not heard of this yet, because I can't announce out a program possibility until we really have the town and the SIN, LRT, and everybody, all the players together to make sure that at least in concept, everybody is looking to move forward. So my next step would be to announce it out to my club members and to see what the interest levels are. And I already know we have interest levels in more of a full-time program. And then beyond that, I would actually announce it out to the membership of US Ski and Snowboard, who's our governing body for ski racing, and push it out towards the Massachusetts area to see if there's interest from kids, maybe from other clubs that are looking for full-time programs. Because it's very common, such as Waterville Academy or other programs like that. Kids are coming up from Massachusetts from other clubs for the winter, and that's a good chance for them to get them more ski. And I think we have the facilities at Loon, we have the training space at Loon, we have the support from Loon. And if we get the support from the town, we can grow this program into something that would really help sort of pick up the town's snow sports field, considering the skier is across the street. It seems to me like it'd be a good match to try to blend the two together and to create a program that can really help the community and help kids and help bring people into the community and sort of a new feel to what the relationship is between the Loon race team and Lin-Wood schools. So that would sort of be my next step. So that's my concept and idea. I think it's one that, there's pieces of it too that we still have to look at and work out. And Aaron and I have been discussing parts of it, how it interacts with ski teams, because there's kids on those ski teams that are not necessarily on that same path as Loon race team athletes. But that's something obviously as we move forward in developing the program, we can figure out how it matches and how we can work together. And Aaron and I work together on a regular basis, so I'm sure those pieces can work out. So that's my thoughts on the presentation in terms of the idea of a more interactive program between the school and Lin race team and Loon Resort for any town. I think it's an exciting idea, and it's, Aaron knows me. I want to continue to push things forward and try to help grow the programs, not just keep things the way they are. And I think working together with the community is a big piece that Loon race team needs, I think, is really important and to help us grow. And I also think it's something that would really help keep kids here, help have them not leave the programs, and retention and sort of a new exciting look to what snow sports are in this town. Beyond a few kids that, well, it's a pretty big number that are on race teams, but beyond that, even into snowboarding and free ski, and so those opportunities to grow beyond just racing. So that's my those are my thoughts, and I welcome questions. Your thoughts?
Is there a tuition for the kids? Or?
Actually, yeah, that's a good point. I skipped over that because I felt there would be a tuition with the Loon race team program, because that would be, and I would think I would package it as a tuition if you're a resident and tuition if you're not. So if you're a resident, you basically not paying for the school, you're just paying for the program. If you're not a resident and you want to come up just for the winter and rent your condo and just be here with your kids, then there'd be a tuition that would encompass the program and the school together.
I guess my question, would it be a parent's paid tuition? Would it be a school paid tuition, or?
The tuition would be paid by the parents. Okay. That would be coming up. So they would pay the tuition as a non-resident. So I guess that private public model where there is a number for the town that basically equals to what a kid pays per year. It's 23 something thousand, and so that would be maybe two prorated on that number to create a winter term.
Thank you.
Would that be based on age? I mean, or is that just?
I think it'd be based on age, yeah, because I think if the middle school is a different per student fee, that would be based on age, yeah.
I think we have a policy in place for tuition for students coming from out of district anyway, right? So I'm sure we could address that. We have the capacity for 10 to 15 students, no problem. How do you envision the academic calendar? Because it looks like you've got a half day Wednesday, so taking the afternoon Wednesday off, the morning Thursday, and then the afternoon Friday.
Yeah, that daily calendar, that daily schedule is loosely based on what you guys have online, because that's what I had to go with. So you're online, it shows the daily schedules for the middle school and then the high school. So I took a look at what made the most sense. And so each of those days, the students would be missing a day. I mean, a class, I'm sorry, be missing a class or maybe an activities period. There's special projects period, I think it's called. So they would be missing something each day, but they wouldn't be missing the whole academic day. They just end up missing one class per day out of those 3 days. And then they would work together with the school and there's teachers to make sure they're staying up in current academically.
So would that be, I guess I was looking at the structure you had on the last page, would that be like the academy director?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And, conduit, whoever it is, I think in the first year, I would be hiring somebody to be that person, probably me, who would be the interface between the schools and the school and LRT to make sure our students that we have are keeping up, or maybe the head coach would be that interface, but there would be an interface person between the school, making sure that the kids in the program are up to date with their academic program.
Would they work with the kids as well?
Yes.
Be like, yeah,
Oh, as a tutor?
yeah,
Good question. I didn't think of it that way. I thought of it more as a person just to make sure they're having conversations each week
Sure.
with the students to make sure, that everything's up to date. And then, if tutors are needed, I think that's something we can always address and find out a way of bringing tutors in for the kids if they need more assistance. I know there's other programs out there that do offer tutorial services for that situation.
And this is a question for Aaron. Typically, our race team students miss about a full day Friday and then a half day Tuesday. Is that still the?
Or during January and February, it's not a half day. We leave at 1:30, quarter.
So a little bit.
Yeah, an hour and a half early, or an hour early. And then middle school races on Thursday and high school races on Friday. So a day and a half, a day and an hour.
Yeah.
Yeah, and sometimes we go up after school at 2:30 in December and try to get some extra days. One of the challenges is having somebody to set up all of this, the infrastructure up there, the gates and things like that. We've been pretty fortunate having Keegan Rice, Jeff Claremont, Marcus, and Kim Pinkham help out with that. And I think working together with the race team, whether they choose this route or not, as Dave said, we're only going to benefit athletically, and I also think academically as well. Typically in the winter, if our kids don't do the work, they don't go skiing. And I think that would probably be the same policy as well. Sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah.
What is the success rate for the students keeping up with their courses independently? I mean, that self-motivation, I get the self-motivation portion, but how is that follow through with students?
I will say that from what I've experienced working, I've worked in winter term academies, I worked at Waterloo Academy,
Okay.
those programs where it's very independent. And the kids that are in these programs tend to be very organized and driven. Like they want to ski, so therefore the academic piece becomes a priority because it's how they're going to be able to ski more. And so I think the success rate for our kids 2 winters ago that were in that program, they were all online doing with their teachers. Who knows the success rate of the COVID year really where they were, but I think they all did very well. And our kids were, there were some points they were like, we need to leave training early because I have a class, and they would zip down in the comm center and get on the computer and they'd be in class in the comm center. So they're very, very aware of their academic side and academic needs. So it wasn't actually us pushing; it was actually them telling us, which was fantastic. So that self-motivation.
We have some students that do LRT and Lin-Wood race team, Lin-Wood
Yes.
ski team.
Yeah.
How is that going to affect that? Are we going to lose a lot of kids to
I-
LRT? Is that going to affect our ski team program?
It depends on the kid and the path they choose. We have a great option that is only going to get better with something like this. But there's a good chance that somebody, instead of going down the road, will stay here and have that full-time academy experience. And the calendar as you get older, a lot of the FIS level races are midweek and things like that, and you need to you can't afford to have both calendars. And that's one of the reasons why my son Charlie went away for a year, because he needed that. And I think we were trying to keep people in their school with their peers as much as they can. I think it will only improve the Lin-Wood ski community.
Okay.
Yeah, and the fact of freestyle and snowboarding, and we have some great energy coming up in town with that as well. And I mean, Loon's the best mountain in New Hampshire. Like,
Of course.
I'm not just saying that.
Thank you.
But I go to a lot of places,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
it's top notch.
Yeah, and I would agree that I've been part of many programs, and our training hill and our venue is amazing rather than what we have. And I agree with what Aaron's saying. There's kids who are going to leave if they don't have the offering here in town, like a Charlie or an Abishai, or those kids
Sure.
are going to leave because they need more and they want more. Like Abishai was racing today, up at Sugarloaf, and national championship. So therefore, like, is that if we had kept her here for the past couple of years, maybe that success is through the race team, not through Waterville Academy. So that retention is important to give them a pathway that hey, some may leave anyway. Some may want to go to Holden School, which is great, or go to a full-time ski academy at Burke. But if we give them at least a pathway and an option to stay, that one that has, if we can have success here, keeping more kids on within our schools here, within the program here.
I think in the like kind of what you're asking though too, that I feel like if Charlie or Abhishek were in the program through LRT when, well, Abhishek now, and when Charlie did it, it's not so much that they're leaving the high school races. At the same time, if Charlie was at the FIS race today, in that roundabout way, you could argue that he's still representing Lin-Wood. He's part of the Lin-Wood LRT race team, like,
That was my text I sent to Abhishek.
you know, versus,
For sure.
Yeah.
versus if they do,
I think,
if like Abhishek right now currently leaves in winter break and goes down to Waterville Academy, she's skiing
For
Waterville
Waterville.
Academy. She's not really skiing
For
Call it
Lin-Wood.
Lin-Wood
Gotcha.
Academy or LRT or
That makes
however you
sense.
like to build it.
That makes sense.
So
yeah.
you're gonna be missing, Charlie and Abhishek might miss out on Friday's high school race, and that's unfortunate, but they might be doing something bigger, better, still bringing back that to
Lin-Wood.
the community.
Gotcha.
I feel like, if you don't mind me,
Please do, Aaron.
since the last 2 years, we've experienced a lot of different types of learning. And we are able to tell the kids, give them a little bit of space as long as they get the work done. And there might, and I think prior to COVID, with what we've all done, we might have been a little hesitant, but I think now, in knowing how well the kids have done, it's different. If somebody were to miss a few days, as long as it's pretty easy to communicate, Zoom, things like that. So.
And again, as I said, I envision this initially being more of a middle school program, just because high school is an age where you're moving from, in our ski racing, children's racing is middle school and below, and then junior racing is once you hit high school, and that's when like Abhishek could be racing against college kids on these races. It's a whole nother level. So really, to get that buy-in at a high school level, if they want that commitment, we have to make sure we're growing our programs from the ground up, so from the younger
Right.
kids up, and we'll start to then see, kids maybe they start in sixth grade with us for a couple of years, and all of a sudden they know they can stay here and move into that high school age, that junior racing age, where they're also competing at a much different level. And so I think that's why I envision it start with the younger kids, and then we'll see those kids stay and then grow through the high school age.
So we can absorb 10 or 15 kids now without any issue. What do you expect the growth to be?
It's a great question. And I don't know that, I think it's something where I would say if we can get to 25 kids, we'd be doing spectacular. And I would be thrilled with 25 kids as a consistent number for this each day. That's a big number. But I think that's very doable.
We've had more than that, yeah.
Yeah, I think 3, 4,
I think we could do
3-4
that
years down the
too.
road, that's very, very
Right.
much realistic that we could get to that point if we can get this
Good.
program off the ground and moving forward.
Good.
So I guess the scenario, all right, so this moves forward and the process for a family, we contact you to say, I want to join LRT Academy. You would say, okay, it's the partial program or the full program. I forget, we have determined the, and then it's coordinating with the district to say, all right, I've got, 10 kids for the full-time program and 5 for the part-time program. And then that's kind of where the rubber meets the road, right?
Exactly.
Like who's going where and when and why.
Right.
Yeah.
So that's the way I envision. And my goal, my original goal was to get this announced out early April. So we're sort of close to that goal because families are already looking at where their pathway is and where they want to send their kids next year, because the interview process and all that and signing up so they don't lose a spot in these other programs happens early. So by pushing this out soon to say, hey, who's interested, then I think by August 1st at the latest, we'll know exactly who's going to be a part of the program. I think that gives plenty of time. I think, you guys can tell me if that's enough time then to get these kids into the system here to make sure they're dialed in and understand that when they're starting school, what the pathway is going to be for them. And obviously a lot more conversations between us and the school to make sure that pathway is as seamless as possible.
And so this is an opportunity for families that don't necessarily have a home in Lincoln or Woodstock areas.
Could be. I mean, obviously, most of our families, as I would say, I'm not sure how many are homeowners within the Loon Race team, but I'm sure there's a bunch that are homeowners, and I'm sure there's a bunch that are just seasonal rentals. So, and then new families maybe outside of LRT that might show interest. Obviously, they would have to figure out their lodging situation if it was winter or if they're moving up for full time.
So if hypothetically a family has a house in Campton,
Mhm.
right, they come up and they ski Loon whatever weekend, and they could enroll in LRT Academy
Yep.
for the full tuition program, and they would essentially operate out of their home in Campton
For sure.
and come here every day for school.
Okay, sure.
What is your, so I just have a feeling, and I'm around Boone a lot, that you're gonna be pretty successful at this. With that being said, I mean, I've seen guests now in second homeowners that live here and they're ghosts. No one knows they live here. You probably have a bunch of them, a bunch ski at Cannon, a bunch ski in Cardigan. And they all live in this town, and they've, since COVID, never left.
Right, they moved up.
So now you give them an opportunity, and that's a great opportunity. I don't know what you had for turnout, just briefly speaking, at like the tryouts for race team, but I know for the tryouts for freestyle, there was 30 students that opted to go to the freestyle program, in a program that only exists with 80 members.
Right.
So that's a huge number, like for this year to like say, like, we want to go to this program, and I'm sure race team was probably very similar this year. I think there's this growth this year. With that being said, coaching is difficult. I know you know that, and I'm sure if you, with an academy, you get your hands on drawing some people in, whether or not you have to house them or put them up or let them sleep on the couch. But I think it is that, I don't think it's gonna be hard to fill 15 spots at our school. My question is, the 15 kids that are at the school, can you handle 30 students if they choose to go? Like, or where is the cutoff? Is it, you know, is it open to members of the community existing first? As a door opens, so now 10 kids from Lin-Wood's parents choose to send them this route, so now we're 10 down. And then it opens up to, you know, 15, and you're good at capping at 25 because you can get the coaching and stuff for that. Because I don't think, I'd be confident that you announced this next, whatever it's announced right now. but That you're not gonna have any less than 20 interests. You're gonna get families with 2 kids done. You know, I think it's gonna be super successful in all 4. I just think that how prepared, or how do, just a thought is like what to think about is how you're going to approach that marginal line.
As far as enrollment in school goes, I mean, if you're looking at these kids who are like staggered, if we have, you know, like a good number, an even amount of number in 6th, 7th, 8th grade, but all of a sudden you look at, hey, you're middle school and you have 20 kids in the 8th grade. Now that would be challenging. I mean, that would be really challenging. We'd have to look at how we could reschedule and restructure a little bit of our middle school in order to accommodate those. I don't think it'd be impossible, but a big bubble like that in 1 grade would be
So that's why I was-
difficult. I think we could still do
I see what you're saying.
spread out.
So like all of a sudden I had 20 kids sign up for just the winter months.
Yeah.
That would turn into.
But it's not,
That would turn into a big challenge for the middle school, for those winter months.
If especially they were like all 1 grade. I know you said middle school, but middle school for our building is 6th, 7th, and 8th. And then and to you, it might even stretch maybe maybe you'll have some 9th graders. I don't know, that's high school, but if you're looking at just a freak of people signing up, you know, just, all right, we got 20 kids and they're all in the 7th grade. That's going to be the one that's going to be kind of challenging.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, so figuring out the numbers for that, I don't think it's not doable, but it would
challenge.
definitely be a challenge. And so knowing those numbers, and that's why I can understand why you'd like to get this out early.
Right.
Knowing those numbers ahead of time would really help us plan.
well, that's what I'm kind of saying, but like, I think I'm not saying so much for the school.
Yeah.
Like I'm saying, how are we going, like, based on what you have for staff, current staff?
I-
Two,
I think it's manageable.
Absolutely.
manageable?
Yes.
I have no worries about, I have no worries about the staffing side. of it.
So then, I guess, and I think you could bring people into
Yeah,
that,
for
but I
sure.
guess is, do the community members, I guess, get not called right of first refusal, but the way it's presented, so that say you got 15 kids, would you still just be like, all right, we'll shoot for the stars and 20 people are coming in, now we're at 35, it only puts 20 in the school, and I understand that. But I don't want to see anybody just miss out that wanted to, because I think that you're gonna have a lot of that drive from second homeowners and people that are already living here and homeschooling currently in this community. You know, someone that's currently working on a computer, and I can name kids right now to ski, they're gonna jump on this. This is ideal. This is a great opportunity. You know, and then where do those spots fill, or how do you decide how you're gonna do it? Year one, you know, this could be the one where you go, okay, well, we had interest of X amount, but we had to cap it.
Yeah.
And then you build for next year,
Right.
you know?
And I think it's, I envision it as an application process to make sure that their kids are coming in or understanding what they're really getting into. And that it's, you know, and if we need to cap it on a first year, if all of a sudden it does look like it's something where it's 30 kids in the first year, I also want to be a part of it, and that could put a burden on the school that maybe is unrealistic. And maybe we have to cap it. And I think no matter what, I think our first push would be local and the LRT community to see who's interested. And then if that interest is still strong, then we can push that out to more of a bigger, broader mailing list to see if there's more interest to try to gain momentum. I'm excited to hear you think that the success will be there. That's great to hear. So.
And I guess the only other one for me is that you mentioned other programs, so like you'd like to grow, I guess, just like into the freestyle side, which is already partnered with you, and then potentially into like snowboard or something like that down the road. As interest, I guess, builds. Facilities wise, just current, there's no, I know this is all new, but the raised building is a nice sized building, but when you've got now adding, say, an academy to it, is there thoughts down the road of changing things, like grand picture, not holding you to anything, you know, is there grand ideas of making this into something where there's a separate facility? And then transportation, you're, I'm assuming you're responsible for picking the students up, so you probably have to get a bus or a couple.
That is both are really good questions, and I'm going to address the second one first, the transportation, and that's
That was
something
gonna
I'm
be my
pondering
question.
quite a bit, is transportation, the responsibility of parents, is the responsibility of the school, or the responsibility of the CAP. And I don't have a good answer for that yet, and that's one that I think I need to work through and take a look at the population to see, and also talk to Aaron and about what his thoughts are on this too as well, because but the transportation piece is one that I'm still trying to work with and figure out. That's something I've talked to my board about as well, if we are capable of bringing in transportation. The other part, the building, that the building's a bigger discussion. Currently, the building we can house in there. We put 150 kids in there at lunchtime before, so the building, as much as it doesn't look so big when you walk in it, it's quite a bit of space. So I'm not concerned about it currently, but we do know down the road there may be some expansion plans for Loon Resort, and so the competition center may be taken down, and we may work on a new home. And so that's actually a big vision piece that we're working on right now down the road. Cool.
Sorry, I thought I had about talking about like the success rate and how we could make that successful for the kids. And the reason I was asking about kind of the definition of the academy director, if there's a tutor kind of aspect to that or advisory aspect for that, one to kind of help, you know, and it would be the touch point person for you to help those kids transitioning in for the season, to help existing kids academically.
I think it's more advisory as opposed to tutorial style.
Yeah,
I think that that person's advisory to work with the students and then be the conduit to the
Yeah.
school to make sure that interaction is clean and the students are transitioning smoothly as possible. I don't envision that person being a tutor. I think the person could be a conduit to find tutors if that
Sure,
additional
yeah.
help is needed, for sure.
Advisory was, kind of my,
That's
Yeah.
the way I envision it, more
Yeah.
advisory. And part of the program is weekly meetings discussing academic sides of things as much as goals and other on-hill athletic pieces as well.
How many U12s and U14s do you currently have in the LRT?
This year we had 34 U14s and
34 U12.
34 U12s. Actually, 32 U14s, 34 U12s.
Yeah. Two got hurt.
That's really
And that's
drawing.
a smaller number. Last year we were 47 U14s. We had a bubble coming through, so that big group of U14s, they sort of got a little smaller as they get older. So our U16 age class grew by double this year. So we went from 18 kids to 36. It was this, I think, the second biggest group in the program this year, which is hasn't happened in 10 years. So there was a bubble that was moving through.
So your draw wouldn't just be from that.
Well, I know, but that's a good
Yeah.
base for the.
Oh, yeah, because we're looking at roughly, just in those two groups,
Yeah.
it's whatever, almost 70 kids
Yeah.
that may have the opportunity or maybe have interest. And I would be surprised if we had actually a couple of U16s interested as well, because there's some pretty motivated kids in that group.
So that process is, if you're interested, here's the application. 30 of them submit an application, the board, LRT board reviews and says, okay, well, we think we've got 30 kids that are interested, and then we say, well, 20 of them are in 8th grade. Probably not gonna, no, and so
Right.
that application process would be in collaboration with the district to say,
Correct.
here, I don't know, is this feasible or not? And ultimately it would be up to the district to say,
Yeah.
can we fit all them or not?
I would love to have that conversation. That'd be a good problem to have if
Yeah.
we had that turnout in our first year. And so, but yes, it would be in collaboration discussion with the district about what you feel is realistic to bring into schools. So if our application process does bring in 30 8th graders, what's the real number for the school? And then we have to then make decisions on those applications.
Speaking of district collaboration, you said Waterville does this now with the half term in the winter and whatnot. Does the state of Massachusetts give them diplomas okay with the transferring credits? Is that like an issue ever?
Yep, absolutely. They can, there's a couple models. Waterville has one model, and I used to work at Stratton Mountain School in Vermont. They had a different model. So
Okay.
the model at Waterville Academy is the students come up to Waterville Academy for the winter. They bring their schoolwork with them from their home schools. So
Okay.
they're being tutored, basically. Most of the classes are one-on-one that they go to, one-on-two, one-on-ones. So they're being tutored on their home school work. There's communication from the teachers to the homeschool to make sure they're keeping up. That's the one model that Waterville does.
Okay.
Aaron would know this as well. The Stratton Mountain School had that model as well, but they also had a model where you withdrew and then you re-enrolled in
Right,
Stratton Mountain
that's what I-
School.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's
they
what I'm
you
worried
enroll in
about.
Stratton Mountain School for the winter. It's a accredited school, so you can be there for the winter, and then you pull back out and you go back to your home school. It's most of the kids that did that were 7th, 8th grade. High school, that was a little less of an option.
That's more what I'm
Because the
thinking.
high school transition was a little more challenging.
Okay.
9th graders tended to do it. Stratton Mountain School cut it off after 9th grade, so you couldn't do that style program after 9th grade.
And then I'm assuming if parents choose to relocate here, they would just get a Lin-Wood diploma.
Exactly.
Right.
Exactly. Because they would be here as taxpayers and this
Right.
residency, and they would basically be here from September on.
One concern, it's not a whole lot more missing academic days than what we do with our current ski team, but it's a bit shorter of a season, quite a bit shorter of a season, I think, for the current team. 5 or 8 races or something of that nature.
Eight for high school.
Yeah.
5 for middle school.
So it's and our teachers are sort of accustomed to that, and they're good at making sure the kids have what they need, on Wednesday night for the middle school and Thursday night for the high school. And it just seems like that may present a bit of an extra burden for the teachers if they have to focus on, what they need for the kids that are on the Lin-Wood team, what they need to focus on for the kids that are on the LRT Academy team, and, preparing all of the different academic things. And so I think we would need to consider what additional burden it would be on the teachers to help sort of make sure that everybody is getting their assignments for the days that they're missing and coordinate the sort of academic piece of that.
For sure.
Do we have any feedback from staff? Have you had any conversations with?
Haven't had the conversation.
Haven't had
with
yet.
staff yet.
No, I think just my thoughts on it are that the kids are, if the kids are on a Tuesday going to miss one class on Wednesday morning, And that's their normal routine, you know, that, and touching base with that teacher prior to that missing day. Yes, I think it adds probably extra burden on the teacher for sure, but it's also, it's not this, in terms of the student side of things, it's not them missing tons of classes. So I think that's fairly realistic and doable. In terms of the teachers, yes, if they have 20 eighth graders coming in, also know those eighth graders are missing the same class on a Thursday. Yeah, I think absolutely it would put some extra burden on the teachers that should be considered for sure.
I don't know, maybe we should be talking to the,
Well, if you're saying, I'm not getting the big picture here, then, because if you're saying, let's say 20 kids from eighth grade come in, they'd be doing the same curriculum that the kids are doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so the teachers aren't
Yeah.
changing anything.
no, my
That's a good
concern is, we know that, currently we know that the teachers know that the kids that are on the ski team are gonna be out either Thursday or Friday, depending if it's middle school or high school. And so on Wednesday, the middle school teachers know that they have to, that all the middle school kids are gonna be coming in to check in with them. They're gonna make sure that they have everything that they need to get done before they can go on Thursday. And then they, I think the way that typically works is the kids make sure that they drop off all their assignments on Thursday morning before they leave for the race. It's usually what happens. Similarly with the kids for Friday, the high school kids. And there's a bit of coordination that has to happen for all of that. The kids need to know what they, when they can go see the teachers, what the assignments are going to be, and what formats and how they want it all dropped off. And then, so you have that block of kids that does that. And our team's pretty big. So it's a decent amount of kids already. And then you have a whole nother group of kids that are on a slightly different schedule that are going to need to talk to the teachers on Wednesday night, maybe Thursday morning, and then Friday. And, it just,
Yeah.
so that it is a
And the
little bit of
teachers definitely
additional.
do, like you're saying, they do prep work for it. They organize like a little, they make, each teacher has a different way of doing it. But I mean, I think it'll just become, that's kind of part of the culture
I would
of
say
the
that,
winter curriculum.
I'm sorry to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I would also say that a lot of our teachers right now are really accustomed to posting their assignments on Google Classroom. And so a lot of that, just teaching kids to take the initiative to look at their Google Classrooms, and those things are already prepared at a time. Not all of them, granted, but we're all pretty accustomed to working that route as well. So students can be trained to look at the Google Classrooms, and a lot of them are pretty adept at doing that right now. So.
What about
That
the
could be the-
specials? It was mentioned that a lot of these times that were coordinated as specials. So if they're out every single Friday morning and then they come in at noon or whatever it was then, and every Friday morning through the winter is PE. So these kids are, and they're only one day a week, so they're not getting any PE. How are they gonna?
PE
the
can be
requirements?
satisfied based
Well,
on,
PE
based
can,
on
but then you got
sports.
music, you've got
Yeah.
art, you've got,
Right.
can they all be satisfied? Can you do art online? Can you do music online? Can
Yeah.
you satisfy that way?
Yeah.
Like from, and like the academy concept, which I'm kind of familiar with. If you had 15 kids, those 15 kids are 15 kids that are going to spend every single day together. So when you sit down, they sit down to write the schedule. You're not putting Brian over here
Right.
and Mike over here. Their schedule is going to be pretty much tight as those 15 kids. So those 15 kids are going to go to math class. There might be the one kid that kind of is off shoot because he has a different level, but for the most part, they're just going to stay together. And at the same time, walk out of that bell and go and get on the bus and go to the program, then they're gonna come back and it's not like where you're pulling somebody to go play basketball and somebody to go to the ski team and somebody to go to the hockey team. So you've got a class of 15 and 5 are going all different directions. Once the schedule is built, they're kind of a pod that just kind of roams together through the system, that they, at SMS, stuff like that, like it's your team and you're kind of with them, and on Wednesday mornings, you're all scheduled pretty much the same. When you come back, you kind of walk into the same spot. And granted, there's a few different levels that change with their academic ability, but it's not as divergent as it looks when you look at it. It's not like you're pulling a kid out of music and a kid out of math and a kid out of English on Monday morning. Most likely they would all be in the same classes.
And I think that's where the academy director role would come in handy, because right now the kids are doing this on their own and they're managing it improved, I mean, you know,
Soft skills.
my sixth grader did it her first year. It was like work, but she was so
It's the
motivated.
hardest year.
Yeah, and she was so motivated and, I mean, that's where, so they're doing it already, and they're successful. So if there was more of that, I think that director position would, that's where I would support.
Get to ski during the school day, that's
Helping the
motivation.
teachers, making sure there's the communication, yeah.
And I think all these questions and ideas of maybe what pieces need to be looked at, I think they're all valid and all important ones, because I think this is in concept, I think, yes, there's a lot of pieces of bug to work out and figure out. My goal, obviously, here is to present this and try to figure out, is this something we can all do? And I think, from the sounds of it, it sounds like there's some interest and excitement to make this work. And I think a lot of the bugs need to be worked out. And then my next goal is obviously to get people interested. And so I need to sort of put out interest within our club as well, and then maybe in the school to see if there's kids here locally that want to be a part of it as well. And then once we know, okay, well, I got 18 kids, and now let's work out the bugs and figure out how we're going to work X, Y, and Z to make this happen. I think that's sort of the next step in this process.
This is one more question. It was related to the tuitioning students. So it sounds like most of the folks that are in your program are second homeowners.
Yeah.
You would envision that those second homeowner students would not necessarily need to pay tuition.
If they're residents of the town, then they wouldn't pay tuition. If they're not residents, they're just here for the winter. Because I think maybe I'm
New
wrong,
Hampshire law,
but I
yeah,
think
you should know that.
I think it's your town of residence is where your school district is.
Yeah.
So
Define
if
as
someone's up
domicile.
here just for the winter time and they may own a place up here, they're not residents here, they're just homeowners.
But you're not providing housing for students,
No,
right?
we're not. doing
So
that.
like they're gonna have to be living here with their parents. So I mean, you could change their domicile for 2 months at a time.
Exactly.
Is that
Yeah, I'll
what
tell
you-
you, it's incredibly common.
I'll look up the RSA for you, Jay.
It's very common that, I mean, there's families that I know right now that they rent a place in Waterville Valley, and one parent stays there all winter, the other parent is in Boston, and they come back and forth, and that's just the way they do it. It's very common.
And so you would envision if you're talking about a student that would be not paying tuition, they'd be a full-time student year round.
Yes, I would look at them as being September on.
So it would be the kids that are just coming up for the 2 months, whether they own a place here or not.
Because I envision those full-time kids from September on, they're residents, so
Right.
therefore they're already in the school system based on their residency.
Have we asked all the questions that we'd like to ask?
When do you need a definite answer to get your ball rolling?
As soon as
Tonight?
we can,
No.
honestly, to be honest with you, April 1st, couple days ago.
Yeah.
No, as soon as we can, because obviously the more information I have from you guys, and then if everybody is saying let's move forward with this, then I can at least get out there and to gauge the interest and get people excited about it early, and hopefully then get more kids involved.
I guess it's a little tough for me without sort of like a formal proposal about how everything would work to vote to go ahead. I guess, I mean, I'd be comfortable saying preliminarily that, in order for you to gauge what your interest is, that we could say preliminarily, we'd be interested in doing it. It's just hard for us to sort of say, yeah, let's go ahead and do this, and without, sort of written or formal proposal about how that all would.
You want to get like interest numbers and like run a model? kind of thing?
That's a concept.
I think that the first year is gonna have
Can
such
we-
a learning curve.
Of
that
course.
To put anything in
Can we
writing, it's gonna
formally
have to
say
be
that-
flexible.
Yeah, that sounds like it'll take. a
Sure,
while
but
to
I mean,
build.
we do need some
Yeah.
formal proposal and
Mhm.
memorandum of understanding between
Absolutely.
the school and Loon
For
and the
sure.
team and
Yeah.
everything about
For
how,
sure.
how everybody anticipates everything working, because, we obviously need to, the students are, if they're coming to our school, they're gonna be our students, they're gonna be subject to our policies and things like that. So we just need to make sure that everybody's on the same page with how the interaction between the kids that are in the program and in the school is gonna work. And I don't know that we can do that necessarily with, we've got a sort of a proposal for a concept, but not necessarily sort of the.
And that was
Really great.
it was my goal, was to propose the concept And then understanding that there's a lot of details that need to be put down and written out, and the map needs to be put in place to how it's gonna work.
Could we ask that you do go forward and make the announcement and then come back to us with, like, besides the proposal, but just because I know, like, we're getting towards the end of the year, granted you can email people, but to see what your interests are, like, how much interest is there? And then you'll know from the people that say, yes, I have interest, you're gonna know the ones that are gonna be there, that are coming next year.
We need to like formally vote on, like, if there's interest in hearing a next step of the proposal, or.
I mean, I would like to.
I'm sorry, you were saying the next step. I don't mean to interrupt you.
Well, I guess voting on if there's interest in hearing more.
I would recommend that the group, the admin in the district, get together with you
Right.
and sit down, develop that MOU, which I'm sure you're familiar with, in the programming and that type of thing, and the scheduling. And then we could come up with a proposal, and then that would go through our attorney, the district's attorney, and then be able to present to the board.
Yeah, we would do the same on our end through LRT. We would make sure it's good with our board of directors and through our attorneys.
Right.
I mean, it sounds like there's mostly positive feedback for the idea. And so I think we should have something for us, something a little bit more concrete before the board votes to approve it. And I guess if that would come between negotiations between you and the
Right.
folks at LRT.
Definitely.
It's an incredible opportunity.
Oh, I love it.
I think so. It's exciting, and it's, Aaron knows my feeling on it, that I'm trying to lift LRT in the community is also the growth.
So what do you need for board action on this evening? Anything?
I would like a proposal just to move forward with the next step, even if you said that. That would be
Okay,
fine.
so a motion and a vote on moving forward with development of a formal agreement, formal plan. I'm gonna make the motion. Okay, thank you, Brian.
I'll second.
Thank you, Tammy. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor, signify. Well, just to be clear, the motion is to authorize the district to move forward to the next step of formalizing or coming up with a more concrete plan. So that's all. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? And abstentions?
I'm gonna abstain.
Fair enough. And that motion carries.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you for your time. And
Thank you.
um,
I appreciate you guys listening. Nice meeting you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
correspondence?
No correspondence at this time.
I didn't get any either. Deb, business administrator. report.
Yeah, there's this week's payroll manifest going around. I didn't have time to lay them out on the table. And just, now that we've gotten through the annual meeting, just now things are gonna start to pick up again, working on contracts for next year. We put out the bid for the flooring, so we should be getting those back by the next meeting. Just filings that we have to do with Department of Revenue, all the end of year stuff and beginning of the new next year stuff, budgets, ordering and stuff from the teachers, that will all be happening soon. Way more in the meeting.
Is that it?
Yeah.
Thank you. And Dr. McGann, superintendent's report.
Yes, you have quite a bit of information in your packet. A lot has been happening, and I just wanted to give you an idea of the House bills and the Senate bills in your packet that we're going in, just to let you know what's going on. Some of them have already gone through a process, so I'll just go back and update that at the next meeting as well. In your packet, you have your I started with the SAS, which is your state testing assessment scores. And what we did was we took gave a scattergram of the assessments, the scores for Lincoln. And that scattergram shows you where the Lincoln students fall. They fall within the average range. Okay, Now, you have some that look on the lower end of that scattergram, and that's only the student number. So we are low on a student number, obviously, but it's in the middle section of that graph, and that is the average range for that. What we also did was go over take the NWEA scores. And the NWEA use a little bit of a different scoring technique. But their scoring technique was you have your low, then you have your low average, average, high average, and above average. What we did was take, just so you could see that average range is large. You have low average, average, and high average within that average range. So we took the averages, we took all the scores within that average range, low, medium, and the high, and that's where how many students you had, the percentage of students that fell within that range. So it's a little bit different than your state assessment. It looks a little bit different, but the one thing that we found was that the state assessment is correlating with the NWEA, and the NWEA is correlating with the state. So you're getting that that value of where the students are. It's just different numbers that are being used to show where the students are falling. That's for the assessments. Then included the performance level for the state testing. They just upgraded that, so you have one sheet that says level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Level 5. So those give you the definitions that we go by. So that's in there as well. You did included in that packet is the safety report, and that, as Tammy had mentioned earlier in the year, that is required by law that we present that report to you, to the board to review it. Now that report comes in basically in the fall, and the fire chief comes in and looks through the whole building and sees what needs to get fixed, or what needs to, whether there's a light out and an exit sign, or whether whatever, any safety issues. Look over the building, and then they give us the list, and then we start with the list.
You noted that each item that is noted for correction has been completed.
Yes.
Our fire chief, did you do a walkthrough today? I know you said you were going to, and I didn't know if you did. Yes.
Yes.
And everything's done, completed. We're good.
There's still some things that need to be done.
So they're not all completed.
No, Mark's got parts on order for doors. Just falling behind again on the sprint. Fire extinguisher inspections, but if you look in my report, I think I said a couple of times that Mark has quite a challenge maintaining this whole facility with the size staff that he has. Obviously, we don't know how hard it is to get staff these days.
That is the truth, for sure.
Obviously, I'm sure that Mark's had some challenges with COVID, the extra cleaning and everything. Keep the facility safe and healthy and everything, as far as keeping it clean. So with a limited staff, the extra burden, I'm assuming I'm not doing the work for him, but it's a lot of extra work during the COVID times that he's had to do with limited resources. So other things are.
The things that haven't been addressed yet are just like parts on order and stuff, not
Parts on order, obviously the
fire extinguishers.
Fire extinguishers. I got the list. I was prepared to study it. I think you have it. Anyway.
Yeah, it's on the end of the high school one.
But in talking with Mark, I think he's full-time. He's got one other full-timer and 1 or 2 part-timers. This is a pretty large facility to take care of. Especially in the winter months when you have a lot of storms. There's a lot of means of egresses that need to be maintained. So the hazards between the gym and the library, those have gotten moved out, but things are starting to migrate back in. That's the other means to be egress from the gymnasium at high school.
Oh, that hallway.
Yeah. Lin-Wood ambulance is gonna look at the two AEDs, they're showing green check mark for flashing light. I'll take a look at those.
Don't they normally
They
maintain all of the ADs in town, right? Yeah.
Yeah, so
Okay.
I reached out to Dave Toller
Oh, perfect.
and
Yeah.
they're gonna take care of
They
it.
do all of them, yeah. Well, thank you, chief. Thank you, Mark.
That's it. But, you know, I can't stress enough that I believe it's your responsibility to make sure that the buildings here are maintained properly and everything, you oversee everything. He needs some help. He needs, you know, some staff to do the job done.
Are there positions available that we just haven't been able to fill? Or we
Just haven't been able to fill.
Just haven't been able
We
to.
haven't
So
posted.
we're experiencing the same staffing shortage that everybody else in the world is experiencing right now. Gotcha. Oh,
Well, just to let you know, last year at this time, I had 4 employees full-time. Right now, I'm down to 1 full-time guy, and then keep myself to 2. And then we have 3 part-times that equal about probably.
mhm.
So it's really hard to get any groundwork done and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
Especially when we're dealing with all the other things during the day.
Yeah.
I mean,
You know, it's not an excuse, it's just what it is.
Yeah, it is what it is. I get it.
we shouldn't even, if we don't have egress doors open in these buildings, we shouldn't even be opening school. That should be a morning priority. So we need to get him some help somehow,
Mm,
because these kids need egress,
agree.
period.
I agree.
These school doors should not be open to have kids come in here with safety stuff like that. They should not be able to come in here if they can't get out.
I agree.
What are you concerned, what part of the report are you talking about that you're concerned about?
The snow and ice build up on the doors and they wouldn't open.
Okay, so the ones from the
Yeah. any
small end of the
egress,
room.
yeah. Any egress is
The middle
critical.
school back door or something. I think was another one.
It was at both buildings.
Yeah,
Both buildings, okay.
that's what I mean. If he doesn't have the staff, I mean, we gotta do something, because the kids shouldn't be in there like that.
There was one area, which one this would be the high school, where you've checked fail for firewalls, fire barriers, and other fire resistant rated assemblies. Shall have approved fire stop systems for any penetrations. What specifically are you referring
That
to?
was the door closer.
Yeah.
It says, high school.
Door closed together, we had to install.
Yeah, so the fire doors here were propped open with wedges, and it didn't have the proper magnetic release.
Okay, so the idea is the ones that will automatically close when the alarms go off.
When you, yeah, as soon as the alarm
Oh, they were
activates,
propped open.
the fire door closes automatically. So it protects the integrity of
Yeah.
the means of egress.
Oh,
Has that,
gotcha.
has that been addressed? Thank you. Any other questions on that?
No, thank you for that. And I interrupted Judith. Sorry.
That's part of your report.
Okay, no, no, it's not.
Oh.
I won't go on with the committee reports. Let's see, the board will be establishing committee assignments this evening as well, so that at the next board meeting, we can have a, whether it be policy or facilities at the next, prior to the next meeting. That's why you didn't have any meeting tonight, because there's no committee. We don't, every year you have to establish.
Right.
Members. And each board, just to remind, I see that everybody probably already did it. Each board has to read and sign off on the ethics policy.
He's got a few of them there.
Okay. So, so that we can, and that's in your packet as well. We do have nominations for professional staff this evening, and is on the agenda. And when we come to that, we can do whatever the process can be, whatever the board decides it to be. But we will be sending out the contracts April 11th, I believe, is that Monday, and we have to have them out by April 15th. So we should send them out then, and then they'll be returned by May 1st.
And you typically have a list for us?
Yes, I do have a list.
Okay.
List, and I'll give them out, the list out, and then when it's over, I need the list back.
Yeah.
That's all.
And are we doing that in non-public?
As far as the staff goes,
And if there's any discussion regarding it, and then.
correct.
Okay.
If there is discussion from the board, then we'll go into non-public.
Okay.
The ones that are not on the list are the ones that have already resigned.
Okay.
And that have been done publicly, so those people would not be on the list.
Gotcha.
And the rest goes through we can go through the agenda.
Right, thank you. Mark, principal's report.
I know they've given you a copy a little late, but I can just kind of briefly address it if you haven't gotten it. It's just the building's moving forward, the staff's moving forward with looking at what our strategic plan was and looking at how we can develop student-led conferences. We talked about this a little bit last year, and we're kind of moving into how does that look? How does it feel? What does it sound like within the school system? What do we need to train in order to accomplish this thing? So that's part of the strategic plan, and we are looking to move forward with that. There should be a schedule coming out with next week regarding this year's SAS testing. That'll be put out to the public this week. Let's see, we put in some more cameras, so we have better coverage, particularly in the middle school area. And then we're also gathering information to see what's available for some summer curriculum work with ELA and math. So that's kind of the gist of it, what's going on right now.
Yeah, summer curriculum work would be for students that need.
No,
additional help,
I'm sorry.
or
No, it'd be teachers. It would be the
Oh.
curriculum work for teachers for professional development, working with demonstrated success in order to, help shore up where our curriculum's at.
And where are the cameras going? You said in the hallway,
So
in middle schools?
what's that?
Not in the back.
Not in the bathrooms, yeah.
Just clarifying.
No, we do not have any cameras. Okay, so right now, the one that was placed in is all the way down. So the main quarter recognized all the way down the middle school wing. And it's kind of looking back towards us, towards the office area. Right now, there's in the middle, there's a camera that's split that goes up to science room and then towards the middle school wing, which has got good coverage of that corner and the restrooms, not in the restrooms, the entryways. So it's really, we have some conversations up above. And then there's also a spot, that small little corridor just past the high school office, looking down to the humanities wing. We're going to be putting another one in that section. Because that's kind of it's kind of too late now. It's kind of a dead space.
Yeah.
We get some coverage here and there, and it's a short corridor, but it's still kind of a dead space. So that's where our camera work is right now.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Provino? All right, committee reports. No committee tonight.
No committees, except you do have risk management minutes in the packet. That committee did meet. They meet quarterly. throughout the year.
So policies, we've got quite a bit of stuff on second reading.
Changes were made that were recommended by the board. Set to go.
And can we make the motion just by saying as listed here?
You have to say them all out individually.
Yeah,
Oh,
the minutes aren't part of the record.
do you want me to do that? Let me list them.
Brian's really good at it.
Brian's pretty good at it.
I'm timing you then.
Ready, set, go.
I'll make a motion.
Taking over.
Oh, I was trying to read. To move the following forward. IKF-R, IMBA, JUBA, JG, JICC-R, JIH-R,
JAHD, JIJ, JKA, JKB, JLCFA, JLCK, JLD.
I'll second the motion to approve those.
Thank you, Brian. Thank you, Tammy. Any further discussion on those policies? Well, motion is to approve those. Approve. No questions, comments? Okay. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed and abstentions, and that motion carries. Any other business from the policy committee? Any other committees? That was it.
Technically, there aren't any other committees right now.
Yeah. So what we will do is, you mentioned it earlier, but it's, you gotta, everyone's gotta sign their acknowledgement of board member ethics policy. And we should, I think this is a good time to do the, go through the committee assignments.
Yes.
So there's a host of committees. Everyone's a veteran of the board here. So we should be able to do this pretty quick. But right now, facilities is Brian, Joe, and Kevin. Is there anyone that doesn't want to be on that or has feelings about wanting to be on that one? Or you want to stay on?
Sure.
Okay. Kevin?
Yeah.
Brian?
Sure.
Okay. Facilities is Joe, Kevin, and Brian. Policy committee, Tammy, Jasmine, and Ashley.
I'm good
You
with
guys
that.
feeling-
Yeah.
Okay.
Jasmine?
Good, feeling great.
Great, awesome. Wonderful.
Yeah.
Transportation,
I'm good.
okay. Brian, and Tammy. Negotiations, or we don't have that this year, right?
The support
Or do we?
staff was,
They have teacher.
We have teacher this year, right? Okay.
I'll take that.
I'll do that too.
Swamping.
Tammy and Jasmine. We had Kevin as an alternate, but do you want to remain on that or
As an alternate.
as an alternate? Oh, that was on support staff. Yeah, you probably,
We can't do the other.
So
right.
you can't do the other one. You could do the other
I'll-
one.
I'll-
What's this to do with?
I'll do it. I'll be the alternate.
Okay,
Okay.
Jay.
Budget representation. Oh, I'm not gonna write that. Tammy.
I'll do that.
School Board Association
Yes,
representation.
I will take one for the team again.
Nice.
They're
thank you,
not doing
appreciate
that in January anymore.
No, it's October, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They usually do it in October.
What is
Yeah.
that?
Before
You go down to the
Oh,
big
you really want to find
conference.
out?
I went out there.
It's,
I did
it's
it a couple of
riveting.
years. I actually didn't mind it so much. The presenters were very great, very good.
Great.
It's our,
I'll take you with me. How's that?
No, I don't want it. I just
Yeah.
don't know what it was.
yeah, it's our delegate on
Yeah.
the School Board Association
Yeah.
membership and basically putting forward any policies from our district to the delegation.
Well, and
and then
voting on the
going and
ones that are there,
voting.
yeah. There's a little homework to be done ahead of time, so you know what you're voting on, but.
School district committees, those are professional development. That was you last time, actually.
Yeah. fun stuff.
Okay. Technology. Joe, that was you.
Yeah,
Stay on that.
I do it. I learned a lot on it.
Risk management.
The one meeting we had.
I'll stay on that.
The
Won't have any
technology
more this week, this year.
committee is something that I wish that I had the time to do. They just meet at like 2:30 in the afternoon and I
Yeah,
can
these are
never
the committees
make
that
it back
meet
to
in the
town. That was technology, yeah. No, Lin-Wood Coalition for Healthy Communities. That's usually Jasmine. Is there anyone
You
else
good with that?
you wanna?
I'm
keep that?
fine. If somebody, I don't want to step on people's toes.
No, I was riveting. I was really excited, but I'll let you take.
Okay, Jasmine it is. Food service, that was me, although I don't know that I, feel like these meetings, that meeting happens at like 8 in the morning, it seems like.
Do you want me to do it?
Probably better because I
Okay.
just can't make that.
No, that's fine.
Yeah.
Kim's gonna take over that one.
Okay.
Sick bank. That was you last time.
Yeah.
You okay
And
with that?
actually,
Actually, I was,
Joe,
yeah, I'm on that one
we
too.
need two, and it has always been noted as one, but we
Yeah.
need two.
There's
Me too.
Yeah, I was
Kevin
on
and
that.
Joe?
Joe, you were on that. you
Yeah.
were on
And
that.
is that for both sick banks? Because now the support staff has a sick bank.
Oh,
Is it two different ones or is it both?
They're two separate sick banks.
does it matter?
I guess it
that
doesn't matter. I mean,
They can just both be on both.
Joe. For support staff.
Support staff, you need a separate one for support staff.
you will need it. I mean, they're two separate banks.
Right,
So I would
but
think
they
you need it.
have,
So he can be on teachers
Yeah,
and he can be,
on support staff.
can he be on teacher with his sister on there?
I don't know.
I don't either.
I don't know.
I've been on sick bank all along,
Can't they
but
be on opposite?
Then,
One support staff.
I think the only controversy would be is
If
if my
it was-
sister was going for
Right,
sick bank.
Right.
I don't.
Right.
this is being a
if you,
conflict.
yeah, if
That
you
sounds
find
right.
there's a conflict, fine, if, then
We'll just find
we'll
somebody
figure
else.
I
fix
think,
it. But
I think
don't there is,
negotiations is a different animal.
Right, right,
And
yeah.
so,
We'll just leave Kevin and Joe on both of
Yeah.
them.
yeah, sick bank,
I'm so good with
I
that.
can't see that becoming a conflict issue. Wellness,
I'm good.
Jasmine.
Although
Emergency
we have
management,
lots of work.
Joe?
Oh, yeah. So
Yep.
We don't need strategic plan, right?
And no strategic plan.
Gonna figure it out. I'll be in to talk about all this.
we need to put a committee to get everything together for this new ski team thing.
So I'm hoping that we'll get a more concrete plan
Yeah.
now that they have the sort of go ahead to start working on that, start negotiating terms. of how to-
I think the definite answer there is maybe.
Yeah.
This first year is gonna be such a learning curve that we'll have all of the answers next year.
I think Sharon, you want I wrote it all down, you got it? Look at you.
She's way ahead of you.
Sorry, I even asked, actually, that's
Yeah.
rude of me.
Come on, Jay. This is my first rodeo.
And board meeting schedule.
Yeah, that's in there. Again,
Yeah.
that's tentative sometimes because
Yeah.
sometimes you tend to change them. But these are just going by the typical two boards meeting and around vacations and,
Yeah.
That's the only thing I was gonna say, Jay, with that is. Have anything going on with facilities for the next meeting, that if you guys, I know you've been policy heavy, I didn't know if that was something,
well, we could do policy for the next meeting.
otherwise you're out for another month. So I would just, that's just a thought.
I didn't hear what it was.
Having a policy next week.
I don't
instead of-
have much going with the facilities currently that isn't a matter of like a one-line update, really until like summer kicks off, that if you need policy time, I don't see why you're off for.
You trying to get out of it?
No, I'll come to policy, but you're not gonna have it for a month, and then you get first
So
meetings
would
in a
we
month.
Right, right, right.
switch it
So
to?
anything you start May 11th isn't gonna get voted on until the 22nd of June.
We can wait a month.
So would we switch it permanently, the first and second, or would we just switch this month?
Switch this month.
Probably
Then
switch
then
this
we'll do
month,
it again on the first.
Yeah.
So you'd have
meeting.
policy back.
We'll have
Right.
policy on April 12th and May 11th.
Do we have things?
Fine.
We have-
April
we
20th.
have, I'm sure.
Always. Are you kidding?
Say, what, are you kidding me?
Was that even
Ready
a
for the next
question?
letter.
I
Yeah.
know, like,
I didn't mean to do that, I was just.
No, that,
No.
that's
Thanks,
fine.
Brian.
But I know you guys
Don't
have
worry,
had like this
that's
much
fine.
policies every time.
Yeah.
What is it they
come
say
in,
about payback?
You know,
Not April 12th, right?
you go through.
no,
past-
So I-
April 20th and the 11th.
I guess I don't see any issues with the schedule. It's
Yeah, I
pretty
don't either.
standard.
That's
Is there, we don't need action on that, right?
No, don't vote on it.
And you said there was some nominations or resignations and.
You did have a resignation.
Okay.
We have a resignation from Dan Adams.
Oh.
Now the district picked him up.
I'll make a motion to accept Dan Adams' resignation with regret.
A second.
you,
Best
Jamie.
of luck
Thank you,
to
Joe.
wherever he's going.
Yeah, all those in favor of accepting the resignation of Dan Adams, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions?
What if we don't accept it? Can we
Yeah.
make him stay?
I know.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Just for an FYI, you have coaches, you have baseball coaches, the high school varsity, and you have Mike Fogue, John Perry, and David Bowden for your assistant varsity coaches, and you have Kevin O'Brien for your head coach. Like you're doing here.
Nice.
Yeah, we do. We have a nomination for, let me get my. For a special ed director.
Director of Pupil Services.
Director of
Is that
Pupil
what we call it? Yeah.
Services, sorry. That's the old word.
I know, that's, I just explained that to somebody the other day.
Thanks. Okay, her name is Mary Steady. Director, the assignment is Director of Pupil Services. It is to start in July of this year. We interviewed, the interview committee was Mark Urbanow, Heather Krill, Paula King, Nick Cass, Sean Quinn, and myself, 6 of us. And we interviewed 3 candidates. And we, of course, we're replacing Georgia Karen. Mary has her tags, and we're taking her from Manchester. She has a history with Manchester for 4 years. She's also been a special ed director, a consultant for Department of Ed for like 8 years.
So
And
how's
she's
it-
full-time?
She will be 200 days.
Okay.
Yeah, because during the summer, we use
Right.
after the school year, before the school year. We have few meetings during the summer
Mhm,
months where they come in and do it, and then they follow
You
the
say
same
her last
schedule as the
name again?
students.
How do you spell her last name?
Steady. Steady.
I wrote study, okay.
Do you have a,
Steady, like-
have a copy of like a,
Steady as she
I
goes.
don't have
Resume
her resume here. I can give that to you.
You did 3
Yeah, that's
interviews. How many applicants did you get?
Well, those were the 3 2 of those were the only qualified ones.
Oh, okay, okay.
You know, the others were not qualified. They were educators in classrooms. So we had, not many, 4 maybe, 5.
That's disheartening.
It's a
She
hard
was
one to
amazing
fill.
though, sorry.
Good,
Yeah.
no,
She
no,
was,
that's
like,
good.
Awesome to interview. It felt like, it felt right.
Excellent.
Awesome.
That's good to
Good.
hear. Thank you.
Really good.
That's great.
Yeah. So do you need, I'll make a motion that we approve the
Nomination.
appointment of nomination of Mary Steady as Director of Pupil Services.
Second.
thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Joe. Any further questions or comments on that? Okay, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And abstentions?
That's good
That
news.
motion carries.
Yeah, that's good news. What about the search for our assistant principal? How's that
We
going?
haven't finished the committee, getting the
Okay.
committee together. We would like to have a board member.
I'd love to do it.
Jasmine
And
would
I'll
love to do it.
I'll be
There was
backup
2
if
of
she
them that kind
can.
of, one was.
Oh,
vocal, one
sorry.
was quick
Oh.
to answer.
Yeah.
I'm principal. Put me in. I want to be on the other side of the desk.
Yes, there you go.
If
So
you
it
need
doesn't-
backup from those 2, I can.
Right. It doesn't make any difference. Who does. You guys
Sure.
could decide. who does it.
Here, if you'd like to do it.
Depends when they
I
are.
want to do it. I'll
Yeah.
fight you for it. I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Just so you know, we do set up interviews sometimes around 1:30, but it does certainly depends on the candidate.
Yeah.
They do 1:30, usually 45 minutes, an hour and a half is total for one person.
Okay.
So
If
that
either
we
of them
have quite
can
a
make it,
few
then let me know.
applicants.
Great.
We're still going through them now.
Fantastic.
So we'll just.
Any
figure out
in-house?
together.
Any in-house people?
Yeah.
Oh, good, good. Well, that's always good.
We had 2 board members.
You don't need that.
I don't
Do you
need
need like a
any-
vote on like, or you have somebody that you can call?
I can
that's
call
gonna-
them both.
Okay,
Yeah.
Great.
You also have your school calendar in here,
Mhm.
and that's for next year. This year, your last day will be June 21st.
Oh,
I know,
no.
sorry.
How bad is it if they don't go the last couple of
They
days?
had,
Because
um,
I should have
those are
waited
2
to buy
snow days.
tickets. Damn
2
it.
snow days within the school year, so we have, and unfortunately, the last day of school was originally going to be June 17th,
Yeah.
which was a Friday. So now you
Okay.
have to go the 20th and the 21st.
And what's the date of graduation?
Well, I can see
10th.
lack of children in most of the days.
Yeah, definitely. Yep.
But that's what we have
Unless I
to
can
do.
switch the ticket.
Just the way it goes.
Could we just table that last day of school?
Yes. So moved.
Nice.
Well, we need a
Nice.
second from the audience.
That was awesome. Thank you for that. Darn it.
Okay. Any
There
other,
was- there was no
well, I
way to
guess,
give those, forgive them, huh?
do you want to do the staff contract, the nominations or
Yeah, we can do that now.
do that now? And then I guess we can all take a look and if there's any discussion.
Just look at that.
Um,
That was different.
I mean, all your copies got them.
Are you getting the phone, Jordan?
Flying out. Flying out, right thing in our day.
It's beautiful. I got it. Great.
Again, this is your current staff of teachers, and it does not include anyone that has resigned.
And just Mary Steady had been online, but she is now gone, so.
Oh.
But
I'll
I
get
think
it.
she had been online
Really good.
for the first part of the.
And for transition, she will be coming and talking over and having meetings with the admin as well as with Georgia, going over all of the case management and caseloads prior to starting. Your second page of that, we keep track of how many years and how many times they've been nominated. They have to be nominated 5 times before they, actually, 5 nominations prior to having tenure.
Okay.
So we just watched that.
I guess the question would be, does anyone feel like we need to go into non-public to discuss any of anyone on this?
Isn't it all the same? Aren't these people already there?
Yeah, you know, occasionally there's a reason to discuss the,
Okay.
you know, the continued nomination of some folks. You know, some- If you're shaking your head like that, then maybe
Yeah.
we
I
should
wanna
do
know what
non-public
you
afterwards.
have
And
to
we can,
say.
We just can't, well, I can't say anything. It's up to you.
okay, we'll do non-public
Yeah.
afterwards.
Okay.
And we'll have we'll do a vote
Bless
after we
you.
come out of non-public. Thanks. So we'll pass over that for now.
You saw me holding my mouth. did you?
You're making noises that could be heard by the owl. Copy your bid.
Okay, so the next 2 items, again, this is the time of year we start putting things together for the next year. Copy of bid is actually something that we've been doing every 5 years. We actually presented in November some statistics on our copiers, and that we were going to be going out to bid because this is.
It went down.
Huh?
It went down.
Yeah, which is great. So we've been doing this, we've been working with Specialized Purchasing Consultants, or SPC, since 2004. And we've saved thousands and thousands of dollars each year. The bids keep coming in lower. We're getting new equipment with some new features. But the biggest thing with this is, I mean, it's a cooperative purchasing setup for us.
Right.
We are getting the buying power of a big school. You know, we're as you can see, I gave you some information. It's in your photos, I think. But, you know, if you look at the list, there's further in the back, there's a list of all the schools that were included in this bid from Maine, New Hampshire, and Vermont. And we are, there might be one school that was smaller than us, but, you know, we do 815,000 prints a year.
Right.
You know, this Rochester School District does 11 million prints a year. So we're going into a bid with these schools.
Yeah.
And we're getting that buying power that we could not do on our own.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there were some pieces of equipment that were like, you know, $27,000. And when they showed me the bid sheet, I mean, they came in at about $6,000. You know, we could never do that on our own. So they do a great job. I mean, again, we've been working with them since 2004. so there's a couple pieces to this bid. There's the equipment itself, but then there's also the service, the cost per copy, the service and supplies contracts that go along with them. And those continue to go down. I mean, it's more expensive to print in color, but that was probably the biggest savings in this bid, one of the biggest savings. So again, the outcome is that we'll be replacing all of our copiers and printers, all of our network printers with all new equipment and service and supply contracts, and we'll be paying about $4,300 less per year than we're currently paying. We're also getting some additional security and control functionality, which is that this product called Paper Cut that's pretty much loaded on a lot of the machines now. Again, it just gives us more functionality and also some security and has just some added features with like ADA compliance if we're converting some files. So the lowest bidder for us is Konica Minolta Business Solutions, or KMBS. They're actually our current vendor now, but it doesn't always happen like that. But the biggest thing also that we see for our area is who can service us. But they did. They beat out Ricoh. They beat out some other big name vendors. So we've had pretty good luck. We're happy with the current vendor that we have now anyway. So that actually worked out. So there's a couple pieces to this. So what we've done is we need to vote to approve the bid and the municipal lease, because again, we do this over a 5-year lease. And it's a municipal lease, which gives us an out if something happened and our budget was not approved in future years. So it's the lease that we need to do for the school. And then also then to authorize the superintendent to execute the municipal lease when we get to that point. If you have any questions, there's a lot of data there.
I would have to say, I refer to you.
And I refer to them, believe me. I mean, again, I've been keeping track of this for years, and the amount of money we have been able to save, and just service contracts were all over the place. And from Trey's standpoint, because Trey has a lot of input on this too, because he's managing all of our printing throughout the district. So there's a lot of good components of that. He can track that. We can see any problem areas, or so it's good. We're saving money.
So you need a motion to approve. The first one is really to approve the bid and the municipal lease, and the second motion is to authorize the superintendent to.
Do you need them read like you've got them written?
I mean, they actually helped me.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed what?
Never mind.
Sorry.
Yep.
Are you sure?
Yep.
I'll make a motion to approve the proposed tax exempt lease with MST Government Leasing LLC for the purpose of leasing, refinancing, and funding photocopy equipment leasing, including consulting fees and related costs of issuance of such leases in an amount not to exceed $63,234.50 and an interest rate of 3.490% per year through August 1st, 2027.
Thank you, Tammy. Thank you, Joe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Abstentions? And that motion carries.
And then I will make a motion to authorize the superintendent to execute and deliver the tax exempt lease with MST Government Leasing LLC on such terms and conditions discussed and provided to the board, and to execute and deliver any such documents required to execute the contract with Specialized Purchasing Consultants Incorporated.
Thank you, Danny. Thank you, Joe. Any further discussion on that? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Abstentions? That motion carries. And school lunch.
Yeah, the next piece is that we have in there. This is something we have to do every year. So we technically have a 1-year contract with Cafe Services or Fresh Picks with 4 annual renewals. And it's monitored by the Department of Education as far as the process goes. So each year when we come to this time of year, we need to, we work with cafe services for the upcoming year for the contract. And part of that is setting our hot lunch prices for the upcoming year. Now, the last 2 years, we've received a waiver and everyone has eaten for free, which has really actually helped our numbers because the federal reimbursements we have and our participation, it's really what our participation has really increased. So when you look at our subsidy to the program that we have to do each year is a lot less than it normally is when, you know, we're paying full price and we don't have everyone eating free and reduced. But for this year, we don't know what's going to happen next year. So the Department of Ed has asked all of us to submit 2 sets of numbers. One, if the waivers continue, and right now they're proposed to end at the end of June. And one, if it goes back to regular, you know, when people are paying for the lunch. And that's the cover sheet just kind of gives those 2 scenarios. So under the first scenario, the projections, again, with everyone eating for free, the projections is the subsidy will be about $29,998. Now, in actuality, we've been beating that number because again, our participation, and I gave you some history and data on the last page. But if we go back to how we've been operating before COVID, that subsidy increases quite a bit, 48,838. And there's quite a few things driving that. Labor increases because they have had to increase their labor costs and food price increases. And again, I mean, when we look at the cafeteria, it's a pretty bare bones operation. You know, there's 1 full-time manager and 2 part-time people. But it is what it is. So we have proposed, again, some price increases, because again, we haven't had any price increases for 2 years. Not huge, and we have to do there's an analysis we have to do for the Department of Ed called the pricing lunch equity spreadsheet, and it really compares our pricing to what the federal reimbursements are, and they're supposed to be within the range of that. So every year we have to get closer and closer to that number. So we typically have to have a little bit of a price increase. They're not huge, but so we're, as you can see, 5 cents for student lunches, 25 cents student breakfast, 25 cents adult breakfast, and 50 cents adult lunch. But the second page, there's some history on the lunch prices. So elementary hot lunch would be $2.90. Middle high school would be $3. Breakfast elementary $1.75. Middle high school $2. So that's what we are recommending for moving forward.
Do you need a vote on that?
I mean, I think you guys normally will vote on to approve the hot lunch prices, yeah, for the coming year.
I'll make a motion to accept the hot lunch pricing contract based on the 2 scenarios given.
Any further discussion on that? All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
All those opposed and abstentions, and that motion carries.
Thank you, Deb.
Continuing business is still, you know, we're kind of done with COVID-19 for now. The ESSER funds, did you want to?
I just want to make one comment because we've been having some discussions at the state level about ESSER funds and what it's going to do to our cost per pupil, which is quite interesting. And because some districts have tuition agreements, and their tuition agreements are based on some of them are based on that cost per pupil. What we're going to see in the next couple of years as we're spending the ESSER funds, that money goes into our total cost, even though it's not really, I mean, it's like we're big piece of our ESSER funds is we're planning to put into the high school HVAC. Anyway, so it's just gonna, because what people who have tuition agreements, they're like, well, we don't want to pay a higher tuition, but there's one-time cost that you're gonna have because you got all this grant money. That's the discussions that are going on out there right now. And the fact that people are gonna see this increase in our cost per pupil, which is temporary,
Right.
you know, but it's gonna create some discussion.
I mean, that seems like an easy enough to explain.
Oh, it is, it
Continued
is, but
education,
the
yeah.
tuition agreement one is harder because some of them are hard and fast that it's set on that cost per pupil. Like, you know, he was talking about the cost per pupil of,
Well, yeah, it's,
but some schools have, okay, well, you can remove this, or you can remove this, or you can add this, and, you know, when they start with that cost per pupil that the Department of Ed publicizes, you know, based on our financial reports. But then that's why it's an agreement. They work on what things are really, you know, more of a direct cost versus an indirect cost.
so that's certainly something to consider when discussing
Right,
the
right.
academy. We don't have anything that's based on cost per pupil agreements or anything.
We don't have any tuition agreements. No. Although if someone off the street wanted to know what it would cost to send their kid to Lin-Wood, we would give them that cost per pupil at this point. Because that's basically what the law says, unless you have some type of tuition agreement.
High school HVAC system, that one, we will be setting up a meeting with Wayne Killian. We've had conversations with them, but to actually sit down and go over everything, we haven't done that. So we will be doing that next.
Okay. So we're sort of at the beginning of that process.
Mm-hmm.
And what do we have as a timeline for using the funds?
2024, September 2024. is when we have to use
We
the
have
funds.
some, but we need to have this ready for the voters next time around then.
Do they have to be expended or contracted?
I think they have to be expended.
Expended,
So that we would have to have this project,
complete,
well, 2024, so we have
Yeah.
some time. yeah.
right,
But it would be best to have it teed
substantial
up
completion.
for voters in next.
Yeah, and
Next
very
meeting.
strict steps that we
Yeah.
have to follow. So
Okay.
take that much time.
Sure.
We have time.
Public participation, we have, doesn't look like we have any students, but we have Alex here representing staff and Heather.
It's been a long meeting, but there's a lot of staff that wanted to share some information,
Good.
so
No, that's always good.
I made copies so that you can follow along. As you're passing them along, I will.
Oh, I thought you were gonna read all that. I'm like, oh, man.
I think he probably is. We just didn't follow
I'm just
along.
gonna go control alt delete.
And Heather, Sheila, feel free to chime in, Bart, if I forget
I
anything.
maybe said too much tonight. I'll stay quiet.
From Mrs. Witcher in Student Council News. Prom is on the calendar for May 7th. We'll be going to the Indian Head this year. Pictures start at 6 p.m., dinner at 7 p.m., dancing into the night. From Miss Savard, grades 3 through 5 will be holding their poetry slam on Tuesday, April 19th at 9 a.m. in the elementary multipurpose room or gymnatorium. which I like to call it.
Even the tourists, I love it.
From Miss Wilson, in science, we spent several weeks learning about metabolism by using computer simulation and how to model cells, get essential molecules that the body needs to make energy and grow and repair itself. By the end of it, these sixth graders were able to describe the process of cellular respiration, which is not something that even high school students have an easy time with. They then took this knowledge and became food engineer interns who designed energy bars to feed people in regions affected by natural disasters. They used their understanding of metabolism to design recipes for bars that had a balance of 3 criteria: the metabolic needs of humans, taste, and cost. We started with a blind taste test to help students decide which ingredients they want to include in the energy bars that they'll be developing. And this was a hoot and very informative.
Okay.
After a week of using models to design the best energy bar possible, we actually made them and will eat them today. The level of engagement was high, and I think the learning was too. Special thanks to the parents and guardians. They sent in the ingredients, bowls, measuring spoons, etc., that we needed to make them. Even though not everyone loved their final results, a little pureed prunes and raisins goes a long way. The students loved making them. It wouldn't have been possible without parent help, and I felt very supported.
Can I just interject on that? I actually stepped in a couple of times, not when they were making those, but when they were doing this learning process with the new science program. It was really impressive. It really was. Those kids were so engaged and they knew everything, every question. It was pretty cool.
That's good to hear. That's good to hear.
I kind of want to add, because it was Jackie, that if the board hasn't found out, Andrew Wilson got into Dartmouth.
Yes.
And it's pretty exciting news
Good.
for him in our school. So
Oh,
it's wonderful.
fantastic. Yeah, fantastic.
Fbla update. Melissa Saborn and Kim Pickering took a group of 7 young ladies who were members of the Fbla, Future Business Leaders of America, to the State Leadership Conference, SLC in Manchester, New Hampshire, last Thursday and Friday, where they competed in 3 different competitions. This is the first in-person event we have been able to attend since 2019. During our 2-day trip, we listened to speeches given by state officer candidates, voted for state officers, learned from keynote speaker Eddie Slokowski, who used music and sound effects to motivate teens to find their purpose, competed in group events, attended workshops, which included a tour of the DoubleTree by Hilton Hotel, where the event was held, a session on college financial aid and how to be a leader and create your elevator speech. Our ladies did a great job in their competitions. Senior Sydney Pickering and Seven Fitzgerald won first place in publication design. Senior Sienna Mack and freshman Caitlin Claremont won first place in sports and entertainment management. Juniors Madeline Claremont, Anna Harvey, and Jordan Saborn placed 3rd in public service announcement. We are so proud of these young ladies and would like to thank all the teachers and administration for allowing us to attend.
That's awesome. Yeah, it is.
I spoke to Melissa and she said that there were over 200 people at this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and from
not an
schools.
easy,
Yeah.
that's quite an accomplishment.
Their conference is huge.
Yeah, both of my girls did FBLA and that's an accomplishment because, yeah, that's
From
awesome.
the music department news, Tuesday, March 29th, the high school band and chorus joined forces in a modern band ensemble performance for the elementary students. With the success of that concert, the band added a performance for the high school and middle school on Friday, April 1st. The modern band ensemble is formed from students enrolled in band and chorus. Each student is instructed on each instrument making up the ensemble: ukulele, keyboard, bass guitar, and drum set. The performers are then divided up into instrument groups and tunes are chosen to rehearse for the performances. Of note, over the last 2 years, Mrs. Burho and Mr. Honorsey have been trained and certified as Little Kids Rock modern band teachers. The majority of the instruments and equipment used have been acquired, totaling $9,000 through Little Kids Rock and in a Hampshire Title IX grant, 9A grant.
4A.
Oh, sorry.
You were
Thank
so
you.
close.
4A.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I have
I
Make sure you get that. We will continue the modern band program through the both middle school and high school band and chorus classes and look forward to another performance this spring, including the middle school modern band ensemble. Thank you for your continued support of the musical arts at Lin-Wood Public School. Respectfully submitted, Barb Burho and Tom Honorsey.
That's fantastic.
From myself and Mrs. Pamplin. On April 19th, we are participating in the Kids Heart Challenge for grades K through 5. This event is formally known as the Jump Rope for Heart. High school students will be helping out along with two method students from PSU that have been working with myself. The Kids Heart Challenge focuses on whole body wellness, helping students improve their own health and better their character while raising life-saving donations for the American Heart Association to help kids facing heart health issues. There is still a jump rope component to the event, but other activities will be taking place as well.
Very cool.
Thank you, Mr. Love. And community, is there any public comment? Okay, seeing none. We will pull the board to go to non-public at this point. Brian? Yes. Kevin?
Yes.
I'm a yes. Tammy,
Yes.
Jasmine,
Yes.
Ashley,
Yes.
Joe.
Yes.
Okay, we will go into non-public.
And
Thank you, everybody. There will be a vote afterwards, just in
Yeah.
case anyone wants to come back.
She did the-